Feel breath filling every cell in your body. This is our ritual. We master our breath, we master our mind. Pulling the trigger will become an unconscious effort. You will be aware of it, but not directing it. And as you exhale, find your natural respiratory pause and the space between heartbeats.
Hostron here with another First Edition Friday video. Many years ago, I kind of brought back an old card, which is something I really like to do in First Edition. I like to kind of keep an eye on old cards that may have necessarily not been good, for maybe ever. Maybe they were good back in the past and the game changed and they're not as good anymore. Or they were never good and then all of a sudden some kind of, some new cards come out and maybe all of a sudden they're good. Well, 7 years ago, I had that sort of thing happen where I was getting ready for the American National Tournament. It was in Chicago. My whole crew of guys here in Sioux Falls, we were planning on going out, and so I really wanted to come up with something very interesting, special, something no one had ever seen before, because it was going to be a special trip. Like we had two different vehicles, and we had 6-7 guys that were all traveling out to Chicago together to do it. So I really wanted to play something interesting, and I had been keeping an eye on a card for a while, and then eventually I felt like the meta was in the right place, and I kind of figured things out with it, and I developed the first version of my sniper deck. If you weren't playing the game back then, I can explain that the premise of this deck is that it is still a solver deck. It is a deck that is still trying to solve missions to win, but with the left hand playing offense, and your right hand is just waiting to punch the opponent. If they go to a planet mission and they attempt, and you flip over a sleeper trap, and you get to download some Cardassians and a weapon. So you download 3 Cardassians and make sure that at least one of them is a leader, so either officer or leadership. And then you also get a gun with them so that you can, make them stronger. So either a disruptor or a disruptor rifle. You probably start with a disruptor rifle, of course, to give them +3. And then Sleeper Trap says that they immediately initiate personnel battle. So the opponent beams down, they attempt, you flip the Sleeper Trap, and they immediately initiate battle. And so then you hit them with snipers. And what you do is that in response to the battle, you can flip over all your snipers, and then it is cumulative, says so on the card. So they will all trigger at the start of the battle, and then you have each one of them select a target, and then you would probe. And the deck is set up so that it is damn near 100% successful for the kill. You need to have Staff Star, Ketracel White, Equipment, or Maquis. And so the deck was set up where everybody either had a staffing icon, or they were Maquis, or like a ship's gonna have like a staffing icon on it. And so then that way you'd be able to just basically pick 3 targets and know that they are going to die. Your only bad probes were some espionages, but you'd pull the espionages out of your deck probably before the opponent would even attempt. HQ defensive measures was also not a kill probe. It was still, objective is still a stunned probe though, so it wasn't necessarily bad. And then you did have a few people that didn't qualify, but like Captain Bator and or Captain Lursa would be downloaded out of the deck. early with the Regent's flagship. So that's kind of how like you got your command stars that you need, was to have like Regent Worf or the captains get downloaded out of the deck early, and then you just kind of took your chances that you just wouldn't hit Captain Lursa or Captain Bator, right? But like basically, other than that, you basically were like even if the opponent attempted on like turn 2 or turn 3, you were basically 93% or something like that, depending upon your opening draw. And that was the premise of that deck. Of course, this is back when Quantum Incursions was playable, and so you could follow up. Your sleeper trap with Quantum Incursions and make it like basically impossible for the opponent to be able to solve that mission. Because if they just rolled wrong on the Quantum Incursions, they probably would have sent stuff along to try to pass like the 1/3 or 2/3 of Quantum Incursions, and then you'd be able to target that and then kill that, and now Quantum Incursions is now either twice as hard or impossible. And then in space, you're basically just with Edo probes and stuff, that Edo probe into personal duty into friendly fire and stuff, you could kind of lock your opponent out of space and make them lose points and stuff like that. So that was kind of the premise of the deck. It was also a decent solver. It was not like this deck could not solve missions very well. It actually did a really good job with solving missions. But the deck did rely on the element of surprise. No one had ever seen it before, so basically, everyone was just kind of walking into it. Once you know that it's coming, it tends to lose its effectiveness, because then basically people don't do planet first, they'll do space first. The deck only had 15 dilemmas because it was very seed intensive. And so there was that problem too. So the deck definitely kind of had its heyday, because at the time it just was really good in the meta, and there just were a lot of decks that just struggled with it. Quantum Incursions was eventually banned, and some other things happened, and the deck kind of fell out. In the intervening years, I every so often re-examine it and see if there's a different way that I can play it. A while back, like a year ago, 2 years ago, I kind of came up with this, which is to basically pair the idea with Staging Ground. So I have this deck that is full of almost nothing but successful probes again. Of course, the espionages once again are going to get pulled out very quickly. The ready room door is going to get pulled out pretty quickly, or it's your one bad probe in the entire deck, and so you're willing to take that chance. But like every other card in the deck is a successful probe, and you have all of these ships that all have a staffing icon on them. So, and then of course, your successful probes are your play engine. And then with Deep Space Nine, this deck having like a lot of draw power, it's actually pretty good. One thing and then what it did is, instead of using Sleeper Trap, because you can't play with Cardassians at all with the treaty, what it did instead is that it uses Entertaining Display to download a couple of females, so like Captain Bator and or Captain Lursa, and then you pair them with like a non-aligned female, like you bring in Rebecca Sullivan to go with one of the captains, or even bring in like the Intendant in, like the Intendant's another option. So you just download your 2 females. They don't battle immediately, but what they do is that you then follow it up with something that the opponent's probably not going to be able to get past. Like there's a low chance they get past a Berserk Changeling. Misinterpret history is oftentimes difficult for an opponent to get through on a first try. And then once they bounce off of that, then on your following turn, you can start shooting them. The other thing you can do is that since you are playing like a lot of people and some ships, is that you're able just to fly around and shoot them as well, because you basically like have given like, so like one of the possible downloads is Neela. She's a really strong one because she gets your Bajoran phaser. And then the other, so basically it's almost always like one of the captains plus Neela, and then the second time if they find the other one, it's the other captain with the intendant. And the reason why is that with her 2 treachery, you can give her a gun with Art of Diplomacy. So that was what I kind of did with this. This had like computer crash in it because like TNG Borg was extremely popular at the time and extremely potent. And so like your way to beat that deck wasn't to sniper it, but it was to like leverage all of your ships to just shoot their cube and then try to crash it when they tried to get their second one. Well then, that TNG started putting in Quark's rods and holding it. Well then you got to shoot 2 different cubes and it gets a little bit harder. Well, TNG Borg has definitely fallen by the wayside now. It's still good, but there's just a lot of decks that move faster than it, can move better than it, can actually take that deck down pretty easily. So like TNG Borg just isn't quite in the same place. This deck really does not care too much about facing like a TNG Borg deck with computer crash. And so like we'd actually, if I was to redo this deck, what I would do is I would actually take the Quite a Coincidence in the computer crash out, and I would actually put in Quark's rods to guarantee the download. So in case they try to computer crash you have it. But then I would also put in Obsession, and then I would probably put in some copies of Quantum Slipstream Drive, so we can get a ship with some people on it just to wherever the opponent happens to be, and we can press on them a little bit that way as well. So you can shoot them with photon torpedoes, with your ship and stuff like that, with your Klingon ships or whatever. You can kind of put pressure on your opponent in a couple of different ways that way. So this is kind of like an evolution of the sniper deck that I came up with a couple years ago. So I will probably revisit this again at some point. But now I'm going to bring you to what the actual focus of today's video is, and that is that I've come up with another new version of Sniper. So, we've seeded again Q's tent. We have a Battle Bridge door again. We have a tactic pile that is all photon torpedoes still, so that we can go after security. We'll do a kind of like fishbowl mission selection here. So let's assume that we go first and we put out Study Plasma Storm. The opponent puts a mission out. Let's just say they put a planet mission out. So I'm going to put a planet combo here. And then we reveal Secure Covert Transportation. Well, we want to kind of like interweave with the opponent a little bit here. So we'll put it there. The opponent, let's say they reveal a space mission, so let's do a space combo, and they put it over here because they want to put it, with the 2 mission span in between. So we get a planet mission, search for weapons. We'll put it here. And then the opponent, let's just say they reveal another planet mission, so we'll just do that, and they put their planet mission here because they are also trying to put planets and spaces near each other. We get repair, sabotage, so we got a space here. We want to kind of keep interweaving with the opponent to some degree, so we'll do that. Let's just say the opponent puts out a 3rd space mission, so we're going to put what we plan to be at their 3rd space, or sorry, their 2nd space mission. So we'll put the 2nd space combo where they put their space, which is here. Alright, then we get Protect the Escapees. We're doing a great job of interweaving spaces and planets here. So we have mission solving options. So we'll interweave again. Opponent gets their third space mission, and they put it here on this end. So we would just plan on putting our third combo there, and then we get break prisoner. We don't really care too much if they like want to put, because then there's space, and you know we wouldn't know at the time if they had planned it or not. But let's just put our break prisoner here, and then let's say they get their last planet combo, and they want to put that last planet combo here. Okay. So what we're doing is we're playing TNG Cardassian. So we would see Know Your Enemy because we have Bajoran on every mission. We put our Quark's isolinear rods out. We would be able to put an assault assigned support personnel along with Dominion war efforts. We would see that as well because it's just really good for TNG Cardassians. We have a Fajo's Gallery as another draw engine, which we'll get to why here in a little bit. And we have our continuing mission to get our copy of Taken Prisoner. We seed Hidden Agenda style our 2 snipers. And the reason why we're doing all of this, and then we also seed our Attention All Hands. The reason why we're doing so much seeding here of everything is that we want to try to outseed our opponent, which is very likely because we have 17 dilemmas, which is really good. I mean, keep in mind, like the original version of Snipers, like I only had 15 dilemmas to work with. The fact that I can do 17 dilemmas is actually pretty good. And so we outseed our opponent, and we see where the opponent ends up being. So we're assuming we're playing against an Alpha Quadrant deck. If we play against a Mirror Quadrant deck entirely, or an all Delta Quadrant deck, that's fine. We would then just basically play a straight up, like, we're gonna just try to solve 3 missions. We're just gonna like have all our missions next to each other, and that's perfectly fine. But if it's against an Alpha Quadrant opponent, we want to outseed them, and then once we know where they're going to be, so let's assume for a moment they choose to be like right here. So if they choose to be right here, because then that gives them a space combo, and then here's a planet, and then they have a space and a planet here, so they have like their 4 missions. Well, then we've probably maybe made them think that we were going to be down here, so they want to be away from us possibly, but it doesn't matter to us. So if they're here, we're totally fine putting our Nor here and our Cardassian outpost right here. And now we've boxed our opponent in to some degree. Now we're not necessarily like planning on like battling our opponent in space or anything with ships, but we're leaving it as an option. So what we have for combos, and this is what we're doing. So both of our space combos are Rules of Obedience into Disgraceful Assault into Berserk Changeling. We want to try to force the opponent to send some security in or solve it. Well, we're going to get a free kill, and then maybe hopefully they have to solve it with 2 security, 2 treachery. Then we hit them with a Disgraceful Assault, and we kill a security, and then maybe kill somebody else of our choice. And then, even though, so then they would have needed to have had 3 security to get past. So maybe they get past with 2 security, but maybe they get past with JO and 2 honor. But either way, we're trying to kill some security, and we just set up our Berserk Changeling. So both space combos are exactly that. But at Planet, what we're doing is we're trying to kill science. So with dark matter pockets, we can force 2 science and then hit the sleeper trap, and then we would download our Cardassian Disruptor guy, who Universe who downloads the Cardassian Disruptor, and we get our leadership guy, and we get Tell just because he's 7 strength. So we have forced 2 science here, we have the sleeper trap here, and then we would flip over the 2 snipers we have seated, and we would target the 2 science people and kill them. And they stop. Everybody stops. So it's not like they have to face the last dilemma, but now they don't know what the third dilemma is. If they want to send down more people just to find out, if they send down maybe the wrong people, well, now they need medical and 3 science behind it. And there's a chance that on our turn we get to battle them again and maybe kill some more science and or medicals. And we make the scientific method very difficult to get past. Scientific method is one of the hardest walls to get through in the game, as far as like skills are concerned. Borg obviously walk right through all of this anyway, so we don't really worry about Borg. Borg is just kind of going to be a bad matchup for this deck no matter what. But if you're playing in a meta where you don't necessarily expect to see Borg because either people don't like it, they don't know how to play it, whatever, you don't worry about it then. So we have, but Kevin, TNG Cardassians, how are you going to set up a successful sniper? Well, I'm glad you asked that. So again, both planets are set up this way. We're filtering our opponent away from a particular mission with a dead end, with standoff behind it. We're kind of, banking on killing enough security or whatever. And then over here at the last mission, we're kind of killing more security. So whenever we kill here at the planet, if they do planet first, what we're trying to do is we're going to kill science first, and then we're going to target their security after that to make our space dilemmas even harder. If they do space first, that's fine, because we believe in our planet combos well enough on their own. Okay, so let's get back a moment here. So this is what we're going to do. Once again, we'll shuffle up, and I'm going to show you how this deck kind of reliably pulls off its trick. So, shuffle up here. All right, cool. All right, so turn 1, we can do Vengar for free, and that draws us a card with. So Vengar for free with Taken Prisoner, that draws us a card with Continuing Mission. We can play Tager for free with Attention All Hands. And we're going to card play we've got some options here. We can card play Reklar, we can card play Osset, doesn't really matter. Let's just card play Reklar. And then we'll discard Quark's Isolinear Rods. We go into the deck, we didn't draw them, so we just rods for them. But we get 1-0 and 0-1. And then what we're able to do is so then end of turn we'll draw 2, because we have Know Your Enemy. Oh, we also have Dominion War assigned support personnel, we can do that as well. Because we free played a Tajor, we just go grab the other Tajor, because we can no longer play him for free with Attention All Hands or anything. So just doubling up on Tajors is the way to go. Oh, where's my other Tajor? What does he look like again? Oh, he's that guy. is. So we grab another Tajor. And then end of turn we would draw. That's not terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. Okay. Alright, so then the opponent has their first turn. We go to our second turn. We can play Gallic for free with Taken Prisoner, and that draws us a card. And then we would card play 1-0 and 0-1. We also have 6 sites here, by the way. Should probably seed those out as well. Seems like it's the smart thing to do, right? We'll just put those up here for simplicity's sake. And so we can kind of take the Reklar, fly to here with these people. We can assign support personnel again. We would just assign support personnel Belcalis for no reason. And then we could just simply put people at this spot right here. And then we can just draw 2 to end the turn. Again, not terrible. Alright. Opponent has their second turn. And let's say they actually get feisty, and they actually are like, okay, we've got like seven people in play, 8 people in play, and they beam down and they attempt this planet right away because they're not quite sure what we're doing. But they just beam down and attempt, and then dark matter pockets. They need to have the 2 science. Let's even assume for a moment that they have the 2 science. Let's say they sent down 2 science and like 5 other random yokels, right? So they beat the dark matter pockets. We're going to choose not to do gaps in normal space because it's kind of it would get in our way then as well. It may not be the worst thing in the world, but it does keep us from being able to go from here to here. So let's not do that. So they pass that, and then we do Sleeper Trap. And we go do that. We get our Gorin, we get our Belcalis, we get our Tell, and then we have Gorin's going to download a gun. I think we actually have it in hand. I don't know if there's another one in the deck, but we're just going to double check the deck first. Yep. Our draw has been a little bit less than stellar. So we get a Cardassian Disruptor. With that, and then the actual Sleeper Trap gets us a gun. So we get that. So now we have like guys with like a lot of guns here. So they would initiate combat against like the 7 people, but we flip the 2 snipers first, right? Because that's what we want to do. And we're going to target those sciencey people. But hey, guess what? We're going to have 10 and 1 use their special download of any Binars card. And we download Binars Data Transfer. So now we get to look at the top 5 cards of my draw deck and place them on top and or beneath the draw deck. So we're just going to look at the top 5. Reveal to me the top 5. Oh, look at that. I would have had a successful probe anyway. But what we want to do is we want to set it up so that the card that goes underneath is the card that we don't want to draw on the next turn, because we're going to free play somebody and draw a card. We want to like string. And so I think we like having Korak be that guy. We'll send her to the bottom of the deck, and we'll send Tell to the bottom of the deck. We're going to leave the taskbar egg on top because we want it to be the probe and end up at the top of the deck. These guys go here to the bottom of the deck. Whoops. Alright, and then this goes to the bottom. Send to bottom of deck. And then we probe, so then we probe, oh look at that, it's the Taspar egg, and that's an equipment, and that means mortally wounded, so we killed our 2 science people. Right? Right. Alright, so we killed our 2 sciencey people, but we also used taken prisoner to take the more skilled one as a captive. So we have our first captive with taken prisoner. Hopefully they're unique. Let's assume that they possibly are. We can flip Fajo's gallery, and once we capture a new unique personnel, we get to draw 2 cards. Alright, so we get to our turn. We get to our turn now. So we really want to hammer him now. So we've killed, so chances are we probably won that battle, so we probably killed 3 people. And they have like, 4 people left. So on our turn, we're going to play Oset with taken prisoner. We're going to play Lapel. He draws us a card. And then we will card play Data. And then what we can do is we can just kind of load back up on the Reklar, and we would just fly to here, and we would be able to figure out who we want to have battle, because now we can kind of set who's battling. We like our Belcalis because, let's see here. Yeah, we like our Belcalis, we still like our Tell. And then we might as well have like 1-0 and 0-1 battle, because they're going to get like huge. So then they would battle, and we'd be able to sniper again. And we sniper, that's a command star, so we lose them both. That's fine. Well, actually, what we would, before we would do any of that, apologies. Before we would do that, we would actually, we would pull out, we would need to pull out another, we'd want to pull out another assigned support personnel. We just pull a Tell out. Just because we can't free play him any other way. We haven't pulled him out yet. So then this is, again, this is where we would make a decision. So we could take the risk with the sniper. We wouldn't have to. We could just straight up battle them and then just take in prisoner a guy. If we've killed who it is that we're trying to kill, we could just probably take our chances. I mean, Belcalis is a 10, Tell's a 12, and then we actually have 14 with 10 and 1, because they're both getting +5, so they're both 7s, so 10 and 1's probably going to kill somebody. So we're going to assume we're going to probably get to kill 2 out of the 4, possibly, depending on who's left. So maybe we don't even risk it with the snipers. We don't even necessarily need to risk it. So we would just battle them there. We'd kill probably 2 more people, and we would get to take in prisoner again. So now we got 2 of them. We got 2 captives. And let's say that we obviously will take in prisoner one that's unique, so we would draw 2 cards again. Oh, we would have missed. We just would have missed anyway, so it didn't matter on the sniper. But the Recklar can keep flying, and it can fly to here. And we've got these people on the planet with these guns. They are not really touchable by the opponent. The opponent's not going to be able to tangle with this little group here. So, yeah. Opponent has their turn. They do some stuff. We draw 2 cards to end the turn. We go to our turn, and now we can play Golma Dread for free with Taken Prisoner. We can play Mikar with, well, let's play Korak for free with Attention All Hands, and that draws us a card. And then, depending upon what we want to do, so we obviously have options here if we want to do, you know, Mikar, if we want to do Vash, if we want to do Anya, so we can download Celia on the opposing turn. We can play the Braylek, and that way we can download any TNG Cardassian personnel we want. So we would have options. We could also just play Beverly and Will, just because. So this is where you just start making decisions. But the other thing we do is, at some point, we need to play prison compound. So we've got 2 captives. Let's say they're worth 3 apiece, maybe 4 apiece. Let's say it's worth one's worth 3, one's worth 4. We would then be able to prison compound and score 7. And we're basically just going to do that twice. We do that twice, that gets us to 14. And then now we just have to solve our 3 missions to win. If we find any more copies of Prison Compound, that gives us the extra bonus points we need. And there you go. That's basically how this deck plays. You can leave somebody at Promenade Shops in case you probe a Prison Compound for extra draws. Yeah. We have Torture here, so we could maybe make the opponent lose. Now that if we do that like on consecutive turns, we can then torture. I mean, we can torture anyway. But we can torture one of those prisoners. Probably not the sciencey one. And in the meantime, we would score the points we need from Prison Compound. We do have torture in the... We have torture here, so we can make the opponent lose 7. If we want to drag the other one to the security holding cell, if we like their science, we can always brainwash them. We could also interrogate them for more points as well. So that's another option. Yeah. Lots of things we can do. Lots of things we can do. And then it's basically then just about pushing through to try to solve 3 missions. We have... Oh, we were gonna end up turn. We were gonna redraw the Binars. So yeah, we would draw 1, draw 2. Well, we weren't going to, because we were going to download a Korak with with the science support personnel. But we have a couple of copies in here of Data Keep Dealing, so that we can try to get. So if you get a Data Keep Dealing in your hand, you can then put the Binars from the bottom of your deck back on top of your deck, or you just straight up use it to act as another copy of Binars, in a sense, for setting up for Sniper. So if we had the data keep dealing, we could have done that. Data is also your backup target for Quark size linear rods. We have 2 copies of him in the, or 3 copies of him in the deck. So he would then basically use us to allow us to set up sniper then as well. We just didn't draw any. So yeah, there's plenty of possible successful probes in the deck that it's worth leaving someone at the promenade shops to probe each turn. And that's basically how you play the deck. Hope you enjoyed this video. The link to the deck list will be in the description for the video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Feel free to leave any comments you want. If there's a particular deck you'd like me to try to build, if you'd like a particular type of video that you want me to put out, be it like a deck building video or just talking about a card or talking about someone's deck in particular or whatever it is. If there's any idea for a video that you want me to do, any video at all, just leave that in the comments and I will try to do it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. May the profits be with you.